The News Day continues here in One News Now Business. I'm Diego Castro. Here are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate fronts. The Philippine manufacturing sector has experienced its weakest expansion in about a year, according to an analytics firm. According to S&P Global Philippines, the Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index, or PMI, cooled to 50.9 in June compared to 52.2 PMI recorded in May. The PMI is a monthly index that measures the prevailing direction on economic trends in the manufacturing sector. This was the weakest manufacturing growth seen in 11 months since a 50.8 reading in July of last year, and the 17th straight month that the PMI reading was above 50. Based on S&P's latest PMI reading, the country ranked third best out of select ASEAN countries. Thailand is first with 53.2, next is Indonesia with 52.5, followed by the Philippines, Myanmar, and Malaysia, which saw a contraction in manufacturing activity. Headline inflation in the Philippines eased to 6.1% in May, from April 6.6% due to slower increases in transport and food prices. Meanwhile, average inflation for the January to May period was at 7.5%. This is still above the Bangko Central's 2 to 4% target range. Analysts say the 7% minimum wage hike is unlikely to fuel a spike in inflation. Oxford's economics assistant economist Makoto Tsuchiya believes that the increase will only support households facing rising costs of goods. ING Bank senior economist Nick Mapa also stated that the wage increase is not expected to cause uncontrollable inflationary pressures yet. This is because the wage hike is only slightly faster than the country's economic growth, which was at about 6.4% in the first quarter of 2023. On the other hand, for Security Bank chief economist Robert Roses, any wage hike is inflationary as workers will have more money to spend, prompting a higher demand for goods. Roses also noted that the potential for inflation could be counterbalanced by increasing interest rates. Bangko Sentral decided to keep policy rates paused at 6.25% in June. Finance Secretary and Monetary Board member Benjamin Jokno also said that he does not foresee a rate cut anytime soon, at least until inflation declines. Here to join us for a discussion on this report, we have with us on the line Employers Confederation of the Philippines President Sergio Ortiz Luis. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us here on One News.
Hi, good morning, Diego, and to our listeners.
Yes, sir. Let's start off now. 7% hike in wages is unlikely to fuel inflation spike, according to some analysts. Your thoughts on this, sir? When will inflation impact be felt?
Well, actually, when the projected increase was you filing 150 pesos, I think Bangko Central came up with an estimate that it will result to a 1.8% increase in inflation. Hello?
Yes, sir.
And because we are using now the inflation rate of 6.5 for the month of May, and we went back to average it to up to June, the inflation, it came out to 7.03% inflation, no? And that is where the 40 pesos came from.
Okay. And sir, Dole says MSMEs considered in NCR wage hike. Do you think that was the case? Worst case scenario for small businesses amid this wage hike?
Well, 90% of our industries are micro. 65% of employment comes from the micro sector. Yung small is only 8%, medium is 1%. Yung sinasabi nila na thousand na big companies making money sa large,
yes,
is only less than 1% of the enterprises. No? So the medium and the large will hardly be affected by this. But the problem is the micro. The micro industries uh, more than 50% of them closed down
Okay.
during the pandemic, and a lot of them is not yet open. If the numbers have increased, it's not because of new entrants, but a lot are still watching on the side whether they can afford to open up or not.
Okay. And sir, regional wage hike petitions are still pending. Do you think these will be inflationary?
Well, I don't. Normally, because we have regional wages, normally they would keep track of the NCR and base it on that. No, so I don't think it will be inflationary in that sense because they will probably follow the computation that was made in Clark. The wage board, although it's not the perfect way to increase wages. It's the most objective. Data is there, data is there, doll is there. They have all the information. And if they compute, they say the erosion in NCR of the wages since last June, when we had an increase of 33 pesos last year, is only 30 pesos.
Okay.
In spite of what the other numbers are being cited. That is and it is going down because if we base it on what projected of Banco Central inflation at the end of the year, which is 5.4, and then next year anywhere from 4% and even lower, the increase should have been only about 33 pesos.
Okay. And sir, of course, this is a balancing act, no? What is the best way to meet both, the demands for higher pay while also making sure that, the small businesses will not struggle also?
Well, there is no halfway. We just have to compute it. There are formulas to say what was the erosion that was adjusted, and we bring it back. So, and you have to balance it. You have also to remember, Diego, that we are only talking of a small percentage of the workers who are affected by the wage board. We have about 50 to 52 million in the labor market.
Okay.
The ones affected by the increases, if we're only talking about minimum wage earners, they're only 10% of the 52 million. If we make it across the board, which includes the manager, the president of the company, it's become 16%. The 84%, the informal sector, they have no employers. So if you increase salaries, the 84% will just suffer the increase in inflation. Who are these? These are the farmers, the fisher folks, the market vendors, the bicycle drivers, jeepney drivers, small business groups. No?
Yes.
So that is the what is the big pay to be discussed. No? We are always discussing the micro and small and medium in the formal sector. They're very small. I think we're talking about only about 2 billion of all the ones that are affected. So the balancing act really is there. The inflation, if it catches up even 1%, no,
Yes.
that will hit the farmers, the peaceful folks. Where will they get it?
That's right. That's right.
The minimum wage will get the increase, but how about them?
That's right. And of course, sir, that's all the time we have for now. But thank you for your time. Employers Confederation of the Philippines President Sergio Ortiz Luis. Good morning, sir.
Thank you then.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. For some commuters, the 40 peso daily minimum wage hike will seem insignificant if the proposed MRT fare increase is implemented. MRT3 has started the formal process for requesting additional fares. In their submitted petition, MRT wants to increase boarding fee by 2 pesos and 29 centavos. Meanwhile, an additional 21 centavo hike per kilometer traveled is also being eyed. If this pushes through, the minimum fare will become 16 pesos, up from the current 13 pesos, while an end-to-end trip will cost 34 pesos from 28 pesos. Commuters fear that the increase in MRT prices
medyo mabigat-bigat na din yun siya sa bulsa. Pati katulad sa amin na medyo manggagawa. Mabigat-bigat na din yun.
The Transportation Department says MRT's petition is likely to be approved, especially since it's been 8 years since their last fare increase. The targeted fare hike is similar to the approved rates in the Light Rail Transit or LRT, whose fare increase will take effect on August 2.
In the last 8 years, walang fare increase. 2016, 2018, 2020, 2022. Kaya sa tingin namin, baka reasonable na pati ang MRT3 magkaroon ng fare increase.
The Aboitiz Group denied becoming a majority owner of low-cost carrier AirAsia Philippines. In a regulatory filing, Aboitiz Equity Ventures said it did not acquire a 60% stake in the airline. This after the Star reported that the Aboitiz Group controlled AACom Travel Philippines Incorporated, which bought a 60% stake in AirAsia in June. AirAsia likewise denied that Aboitiz Group now controls majority shares in the airline. The firm added that it is currently verifying the sources that led to the publication of the article. On the other hand, AirAsia is in talks with the Aboitiz Group as it is set to operate the Mactan Cebu International Airport by 2024. The Energy Department has assigned one of its bureaus in charge of registering electric vehicle charging stations or EVCS and accrediting suppliers. The DOE said EVCS provider accreditation and equipment registration applications will be taken by the Energy Utilization Management Bureau. However, the agency said that only DOE accredited own-use charging stations and commercial use charging stations will be allowed to register. The DOE also said the accreditation of EVCS suppliers will help accelerate the adoption of EVs in the country. And those are the top business stories of the hour. I'm Diego Castro. Join us again at 2 p.m. We are One News. All sides, all the time.